Well, g'day curd nerds. G'day curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day curd nerds. Welcome to another Ask the Cheeseman. This is episode 156. All being well, you should be able to hear me and see me. The countdown was a bit early today because I wanted to make sure that everything was working, because we're doing something new today. We're actually live streaming on Facebook on Little Green Cheese. And you can see the address down there below, just there. And also we're streaming on Periscope, which is part of Twitch. So you'll be able to catch the Ask the Cheeseman show on all three platforms, as well as YouTube. So very exciting to set that up. Now, another exciting event, if I can find my little piece of paper. What the heck is it? There we are. I have an announcement to make. Filming has started in our new studio, but for Ask the Cheeseman and a few other things, I'll still use this studio. But you would have seen, those on YouTube would have seen the Grana Padano taste test. And fantastic thing about that is that we filmed it in the new studio. Kim did the set dressing. I set up all the gear, so it's a semi-permanent sort of studio out there, as well as a workplace. So enjoy the Grana Padano taste test. On Saturday the 31st of October, I'm going to be guest appearing on another live stream. This time it's cheesetherapy.tv. And that'll be 7 p.m. Melbourne time and 6 p.m. Queensland time, because they're behind the times. Yeah, so that'll be great. That'll be with Sam and Helen from Cheese Therapy, and we're going to talk about all things home cheese making. So that'll be a live stream, which I'm on somebody else's live stream, so that'll be good fun. Also, as a reciprocation, because, you know, the law of reciprocity, I can't even say it, they're going to be appearing on this show through the magic of technology on Sunday the 8th of November at the normal time of 8 a.m. Melbourne time here. So the normal time that you guys are watching it now. So Sam and Helen will be guests, and they'll be asking, so you can ask all sorts of cheese questions in general, and I'll be using Restream to bring their video in, which is a service that can broadcast to multiple platforms like I am today. Now, it probably doesn't look any different to you curd nerds who regularly see the show, because I'm using the same software I normally do. When I change over and bring in guests, which I can do, it'll look a little bit different, but still same places that you always watch it. Okay, big thanks today to YouTube members Nicola Forro. Thank you, Nicola. Even though you've been on the chat and watching the show for a long time, and Nicola is a very advanced cheese maker and makes some fantastic cheese. I think we saw some of his cheeses in the gallery a few times before, so it's fantastic. Also to Judy Mack, who I think is in the chat as well. Shout out to Judy. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. And thanks to all the patrons who support the show as well over on patreon.com. It's all very fantastic that you support the show financially. Videos this week. I've already released the video for this week, which is Grana Padano taste test. I'll tell you what, it was one amazing cheese. If you haven't checked that out, you can go and see Grana Padano. Also, today I'm recording Chabritz, which is a Alpine style cheese, and that's been sitting in the cheese cave for 18 months. So that will be filmed today. Now, I'm getting a little bit distracted because I've got two chat boxes up, so I'm not sure which one to look at. Maybe I'll just look at that one, and Kim can moderate the normal one. Anyway, well, I'll just minimise that one so I don't get too confused. Alrighty, sorry about that. So, some hellos. We've got people chatting in from Facebook and all sorts of things. So, g'day to Matt's Ice Cream Show. Very cool. John, who was having some technical issues, but I think he's fixed them now. We got Todd. G'day. Oh, sorry, Todd. Ron Todd Hunter. Anyway, thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. Ior. G'day, Ior. Lovely to see you on here. We've got Vern. G'day, Vern. We've also got Virag. I think that's how you pronounce it. XPFC Wintergreen. G'day, mate. Lovely to see you on. We've also got Lactobacillus Prime from Leerdama, that home of that famous Dutch cheese. We've also got Ruth. Lovely to see you, Ruth, all the way from San Francisco. We've also got Wendy, who I think is in Western Australia. So you're up early this morning, Wendy, that's for sure. Wrench Reviews. We got Paul on Facebook. We've got Judy Mack. I thought you were in the chat. Lovely to see you, Judy. Who else we got? We've got Harriet. G'day, Harriet. Lovely to see you. We've got Martin. We've got Sadie from Istanbul. And he says he hears Australia is opening up to New Zealand. Yeah, only some states, apparently. So, yeah, we're getting there. Augustine. G'day, Augustine. Lovely to see you. Larry from Deep South, Texas. Rachel on Facebook. And I think Rachel's having some issues. Let me just have a look. Make sure it's all working. Let's have a look. Where are we, Gavin? Oh no, it's working. I'll just click play, and yep, she seems to be working all right. So that's all good over there in Facebook land. Kevin, g'day Kevin, lovely to see you. We've got Steve. Monique from Sydney, g'day Monique, lovely to see you. Who else? Yes, sure. Will, we've got Rachel already said that. Lindsay, g'day Lindsay, lovely to see you. Herb, Albert, Karen, Kim, obviously, who's moderating the show. We've got Kuma, g'day Kuma, Brug, and Paul is there as well. We got Taylor, who's lurking in the shadows over on Facebook. Steve Nicola's here. He's saying sorry he's late. Don't be sorry, mate. Lovely just to see you. Who else we got? My English name is Flower. Okay, we'll do Flower. Rachel says, she ask a question here? Of course you can, Rachel. It shows up everywhere, which is fantastic. We've got all the platforms linked together. It's all very magical. We got Kevin, I think that is. We got Josh. We've already said Josh, I think. We got Andre, I think. And we got, Margarita. I think that's how you pronounce it. There we go. Fantastic. And we've got the first super chat for the day, which is magnificent. Hang on, I'll just turn the curd node light off. We've got Jim Jackson. Thank you, Jim. And he says, greetings, my King Gavin and his Queen Kim. Another great day to learn at the feet of the Curd Masters. Thank you very much, Jim, for your $5 super chat. I appreciate it. Okay. Lots of other people. We've got Ronald, we've got Irene, we've got Michelle, we've got and Megan. There we go. We've got all the way down the bottom. Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. And don't forget, we will be having the Curd Nerd Gallery will be at 8:30, showing quite a few people's cheese pictures that they've made using either my recipes or my videos or other people's stuff. And I don't mind where you get your recipes from, as long as you make the cheese yourself and have a good time doing it. That's the main thing, right? Okay, so let's get on with the show. Let's find some questions. I think we've got some already. Now, if any time during the show that I get bogged down with questions and you've got a burning question, then best place is to send a super chat on YouTube, and you'll get my attention straight away. Of course, you've paid for my attention, and you can ask your question there. Okay. First question of the day is from Ior. He said, episode 156, this is the one that said it was new, but I couldn't watch it because it was private. Yes, see, some people may have got notified last night or early this morning because I was doing a test and I hit the wrong button. So I was testing Restream to make sure that it was going to the 3 platforms that I'm broadcasting on today. And I accidentally hit the wrong button, used the wrong streaming setup, and bingo boingo, it went to my main channel and thought it was episode 156. So I quickly realised my mistake, made that video private, and then promptly deleted it because it was just the the opening screen, the Ask the Cheeseman 156 with the timer thing going on. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Let me see. First question is from Flower or Virag. I have goats, no cheese cave. I make good cheese. If I make aged cheese, it turns into a complete rock. And when it's fresh, and if it's fresh, when the curds settle, they have bubbles when still in the pot. What am I doing wrong? This is a common problem with raw milk. So what you're going to have to do, it's called a coliform infection or mastitis. It depends. Mastitis means there's blood in the milk. I'm not saying that your goats have got blood in the milk, but what it can be a rogue infection. And it creates these, during curd set and curd formation, you'll find all these little tiny CO2 bubbles. That is a sure sign that it is infected. Your curd should be nice, smooth, squeaky clean, all the way up until pressing. And the bubbles in cheese, normally don't form for at least 3 or 4 weeks after the cheese is matured, and that's when it's at a sitting at a warm temperature. And that's only for certain cheeses that you actually add propionic shamani, which is the culture, the adjunct culture that we add to alpine cheeses like Emmentaler and Swiss style cheeses and Leerdama, which is a Dutch style Swiss cheese. But that's all added to give those eyes and to give a nutty flavour to the cheese. If you're getting it in your raw milk, then what you're going to have to do is pasteurize the milk. So Kim, if you can find the video link for the home pasteurization, I think I called it pasteurizing milk at home or something like that. If you can put the link up there for Virag, then that will be fantastic. Okay. And turning completely into a rock, if it's a hard cheese, your humidity's not high enough and you'll need to wax your cheeses, I think, when you age them. Natural rinds with small cheeses, around about 1 kilogram, will have issues. They will dry out very quickly. Okay. Wendy says, good morning all. Feeling a bit excited today because I wrapped my first camemberts yesterday and cannot wait to see the results in a couple of weeks. Well done, Wendy. Shoot some pictures through to the Curd Nerd Gallery when you're finished. Now, for anybody who wants to send photos through to the Curd Nerd Gallery on a week, not right now because I can't look at them right now, all you have to do is go to the YouTube channel and go to the About tab, and there's a little contact email address there, and you can send stuff through. Okay. Next question is from, let me say, Ior says, all my cheeses turn blue inside, so I'm making sausages instead. That is a sad thing to hear. Not sure what's causing your blue issues, Ior. Can't really do too much about that. Martin has a question. Good evening to the Knights of Mesophilia. That could be a great TV show, actually. Hello from Scotland. I was wondering about my cave. Is at 13 degrees Celsius, which is 55 Fahrenheit, for those who don't do metric. What is the consequence of trying to mature a cheese that requires, say, 10 or 12 degrees Celsius? I think it'll be fine, Martin. Mine hovers between 11 and 13 Celsius due to the external thermostat that I've got, and my cheeses all seem to come out fine if the temperatures in the recipe say between 10 and 13. So your fridge will drift a little bit. So I don't think you'll have too many problems. So I hope that answers your question. Next question is from, well, it's a statement from Rachel. And Rachel says, hi Gavin, got my first kafili in the press. Next turn and salt in 10 minutes. Well done, Rachel. Hope you didn't miss that turning. All right, next one. Okay, Monique says, what does Monique say? She says, well, she's from Sydney, of course. Well done on your Grana Padano cheese, mate. My favourite Parmesan of all time. It's like Parmesan. Don't get the Italians too fired up there, Monique. They're two different cheeses as far as they're concerned. It looked outstanding, nicely done. It really was. I was very proud when I took my first mouthful, which you probably saw in the video. I don't put those faces on. They just come naturally when I eat a very nice cheese. So it is what it is. Ruth says, I'm making bagels with whey from yesterday's sherv whilst watching the chat. First time goat whey bagels. Oh, I hope they turn out nice, Ruth. Shoot us a photo for the gallery of your lovely bagels. That would be fantastic. I don't mind because they're made with a cheese byproduct using the whey. So good. Who else we got? Next question. Will says, how much cheese is too much? I think I need help. Will, there's never enough cheese. Everything in moderation, of course, mate. We don't want to have heart attacks or high cholesterol or anything like that, which, you know, if you eat cheese 24/7, I suppose you'd get. But my cholesterol's in check. I don't take any tablets for it, and my doctor, when I had my 6 monthly blood tests, don't seem to have high cholesterol. So, you know, and I eat cheese with the best of them. Funny about that. So, yeah, I don't think there's any such thing as too much cheese. I think there's too much in quantity, but never too much in the quality and the range of cheese. There you go. I got myself out of that one. Okay. Yep, Kevin says, Ruth, still trying to get your bagel recipe. I think Ruth said she was going to put it on her personal website, which all you have to do is Google and you'll find Ruth. She's got a lovely website. So she has a blog that she writes out, so she may have put the bagel recipe on that. Okay. Ruth says, can Teddy get into the studio? I think Kim's already answered that one. Yep, he can get into there using the steps. He comes up every day, so that's very cool. And Teddy's my little white dog. Can I show a picture? Let me just go to the other camera. This is camera 2. Breaking the third wall. There they are. There's my doggos. So there's Teddy down there, and there's Holly, all sleeping. They're very sleepy heads today. So let's Yeah, so hang on, we'll go back to the camera one. So that's the doggos, and Teddy is the white one, and Holly is the grey dog. So, there we go. Yeah, and you can get up there. Where are we? Paul says, "Hi Gavin, my Gruyere is 5 months old, but no rind developed on top or bottom. Should this be allowed to dry more before putting it back into the aging box?" Yes, Paul, I would. I'd let it dry out for a day. Obviously a little bit too moist. You are obviously washing it, and that won't make the rind hard per se. The rind will still be a little bit soft on top and bottom because that's where the moisture seeps out of it. But yeah, let it dry a little bit, air dry. Just leave it in the maturation box and leave the lid off it, right? And make sure everything is dry, like the mat's dry and all that sort of stuff. And after about 24 to 48 hours, you'll find that those two surfaces will dry off properly. Now, there won't be any issues. It could be that in the ripening box, condensation is appearing on the lid, and sometimes that drips onto the top of the cheese and makes it moist, and it stays moist for quite a while. So maybe that could be the issue. Kuma says, "Hello from Sacramento, California. Love the Grana Padano vid. Looked too good." Yes, the cheese certainly did. Brugg says, "Greetings from New Jersey, where the weather is beautiful today. No cheese making this week, but the sourdough bread was great." So Ruth, and a shout out to Ruth. Ruth, you're famous. You're famous on the cheese chatter. Well done, Ruth. Kevin says, "Do you still have aprons on your merch site?" Yes, I do. Let me just see if I can find the old merch site, which is still there somewhere. Oh, this is going to be fun to find this. Where are we? My old merch site. I've got a link here somewhere. No, I cannot find it. Is it on the sorry, 2 seconds. I've got to find it. No, I cannot find it. Oh, here we are. Hang on, I'll just bring it up. Yes, I do have a apron. Let me just find the link and pop it in the chat. And there we go. Rightio. So here's the link to the apron. There we go. All right, so that's the old merch store. It's still working, but I don't normally direct people over there. I'm actually waiting for Teespring to get their act together and start to have aprons as well. So I have requested them, but nothing's happened there. So yeah, not sure what's going on. Anyway, so that answered your question, Kevin. I've lost again. I'm lost. This always happens. Wendy says, "I'm in regional Victoria." Oh, okay. Sorry, Wendy, I'm getting you confused with somebody else. Another Wendy who's in Perth, but thank you for turning up today. Right back. Kevin Merch. Yep, done that. Thank you, Kevin. Ruth says, "Big news, Gavin. Congratulations." Thank you very much, Ruth. That studio really has come together. Will says, "Would you ever try Maggot cheese?" And the name for Maggot cheese is Casu Marzu. And no, I would never try. It's the only cheese that I wouldn't try. Maggots actually are quite disgusting little beasts. So no, I wouldn't eat those. Okay. Ron says, "Don't worry, Gavin, I get called Todd all the time." Sorry, mate. Kevin said, "Have I ever heard of Queso Minas cheese from Brazil? And if so, do you have a recipe?" I don't have a recipe for Queso Minas. It's a raw milk cheese. I Not sure if they use cultures or not. I have seen an episode of Will Studd's Cheese Slices on how they made Queso Minas, but I cannot find a recipe, probably somewhere in Portuguese on the internet somewhere, but I don't know anybody who's Portuguese and can translate. I suppose Google would be able to do it. Gilia Herm says he's from Brazil, so could probably translate. If you've got a Queso Minas recipe, oh, you have, contact me. Okay, I'll do that on Facebook, and we'll see if we can get it. Thanks, Kevin, for asking. I will write that down because it's a very popular cheese in Brazil. Okay. Judith says hello from a little more than 5 kilometres outside of the lockdown zone. Thank you, Judith, for turning up today. Andres says, I always follow you from Norway. Excellent channel. Thank you. Thank you very much, Andre. And Rachel says, no, I can see you fine now. Excellent. Well done. But the ping is going off for my next kafili turn. Back in 5 minutes. Well done. Progressive Nuts says, Dear Gavin, is it possible to make raclette with sheep's milk? Well, yeah, you can follow the same recipe using sheep's milk, but it won't be raclette. Raclette's made exclusively with cow's milk. That's the style that it is. You'll get a much fattier cheese because sheep's milk or ewe's milk has a very high fat content. So it'll be a different cheese entirely, probably a new invention, which you could do yourself. So try that out. Deep South Texas says, how can you tell how many are watching on Facebook? Well, the good thing is I've got this cool little app, the dashboard, the Restream dashboard, Larry, and it tells me that I've got 8 people watching on Facebook, 80 people on it's just gone down. Come back. 79 people on YouTube and 1 person on Periscope. So hello to that person on Periscope, which is part of Twitter. Okay. Matt's Ice Cream Show says, a question to Kim Webber. I don't know if she's answered this one, but I had some goat's cheese ice cream recently, which made me curious. Do you know of any cheese recipes that would love to see cheese ice cream video tutorials? So I would love to see. We've got another super chat there. I'll just get the Curd Nerd Light. This is from Wendy. And Wendy says, how much wax is needed for each cheese? And what is the difference between red and yellow wax? Is it just the colour? Good question, Wendy, and thank you for your $5 super chat. And a good question, how much wax is needed? Right, so out of a kilo of wax that I use in my wax pot, it probably only goes down by about 1 centimetre. So an estimation about, I'd say 50 to 100 grams of wax coats the actual cheese itself. But to actually dip your cheese in there, you need about 1 kilo of wax. So that's what I do. Or if you're using the painting on technique with a brush, then half a kilo or a pound is perfectly acceptable, and you should get a good coating with that. Now the difference between yellow and red wax is just the colour. The wax, it's microcrystalline wax and it's all the same, so there's no issues if you've got a yellow one or a red one. In some countries where they make a lot of different styles of cheese, the different colours of wax mean something. Like I think a normal cheddar uses, well, a normal cheddar doesn't have any wax. It's cloth banded if you look at the real English farmhouse style cheddar. So when they repackage the cheeses and wax them, you'll find that a yellow wax is for a milder cheese, red wax is for a mature cheese, and a black wax you'll see sometimes too, usually for a vintage style cheese. That's a rule of thumb. I've never seen it written down anywhere, but that's what I've assumed. Anyway, thanks for your super chat, Wendy. Hope it worked. a Margarita says, I have attempted raclette for the second time. When I put it in my little raclette maker, it won't melt. What am I doing wrong? The raclette, if it doesn't melt, it means it's too acidic. Time for the gallery. So I'll just finish this question off first. So yeah, it's too acidic. It'd probably be crumbly and it won't melt. So you're going to have to check your acidity levels. Let me think. Probably stir the curds less. Check the size of the curds. Make sure they're not too big, because if they trap too much whey, they turn more acidic quicker. So that could be an issue. Okay, so time for the gallery. Let's find where I put my gallery pictures today. Okie dokie, over to the other monitor. And let's make this a little bit bigger. This is... Mark Wakelin sent in this photo, and this is a picture of his kefili made using my recipe. He says it's actually quite outstanding, and it's a lovely cheese. Well done, and it looks like he's washed it down, and it looks amazing. So the next photo is, this is also from Mark, a little bit small. I'll make it larger. There we go. This was a Roquefort. He tried to make a Roquefort. Now, I don't know if he used sheep's milk, because Roquefort is a highly guarded recipe, of course, and it tends to, well, it's only allowed to use sheep's milk in certain things, obviously blue mould. This looks more like a Stilton, and he said it tasted more like a Stilton, probably because he used cow's milk. I didn't get a reply back on what sort of milk he used. And this is Megan McIntyre, who I think may be in the chat there somewhere. This is a brie that she made using my recipe. It looks absolutely delicious. The paste looks nice and smooth in the middle. So a very good effort there, Megan. Here's another cheese from Megan, and this is the Marinated Feta, or the Persian Feta, using my recipe, and I think she's got some dill in there as well as some other sorts of herbs, peppercorns and some mustard seeds. Marinated Feta, as I found out from Will Studd the other day, is an Australian invention, apparently. I don't know why they call it Persian Feta, because apparently it's a bit of a misnomer. So yeah, it's more of an Australian invention, apparently. I don't know why we just didn't call it Australian marinated cheese or something like that. It'd probably sell better. I don't know. But apparently it sells very well in the US. One version that is one of my absolute favourites is from Meredith Dairy, which is not far from us here in Melton, where we live. And it is an absolutely delightful marinated goat's cheese. Oh, delightful. Right, this one's the wrong way around. Let's see if we can fix that. There we go. Lucky I've got the skills to pay the bills. This is also from Megan. It's a pepper jack. Yeah, she's got that maturing at the moment, so that should be absolutely fantastic. I think we got some more. Another one from Megan, and this is a Wensleydale she made. This is with cranberries and apricots, and she's made this for Christmas. Looks absolutely fantastic. I hope it turns out well, Megan. Of course, we wouldn't be a gallery if we didn't have a picture from Ruth. So here is Ruth doing a double-handed stir. Absolutely fantastic. She's making a marbled cheddar. And I have a picture of the final result. There it is there. There's Ruth's marbled cheddar. And the fantastic thing about this one, it's also got paprika. I'm not sure if it's smoked paprika. You can amplify there in the chat there, Ruth. And chipotle powder, which is a ground chili powder. So that is the final picture for the gallery. So well done. Thank you, everybody, for your gallery picture. If you want to send a picture in to the gallery, then you can do so. You can go to the YouTube channel, go to the About tab, and there is an email address there. I think you have to press a little button to confirm you're not a robot. And then you can shoot off attach some pictures for me, and I will put them in the next Curd Nerd gallery. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you everybody for sending in your pictures. Okay, Ruth's doing a fantastic job there with her cheeses. And so was Megan, and so was Mark. Thank you so much. Okay, back to the questions. Okay, Ronald says, I have a question. My liquid rennet is getting old, so I worry about its efficiency. I think that is. If I make cheese infrequently, would it be better to get rennet tablets instead of rather than liquid? Okay. Good question, Ronald. To answer that one, let me think. Yes, if you do only make it like one cheese every 6 months, then maybe rennet tablets are the way to go. And they do work. There's no issues. Do not get junket tablets from the supermarket. They only have a tiny amount of rennet. Their IMCU rating is minimal. So please use proper cheese making rennet tablets and follow the advice on the packets. They all have different strengths. However, when it comes down to liquid rennet, I find it lasts about between 6 months and a year after the use by date or the best before date. Rarely they have use by dates, best before date. But a good way to test it is if you get 1/4 cup of milk and warm it up to about 30 degrees Celsius and add a couple of drops of rennet, and if it coagulates within 15 minutes, then you'll find that it's fully viable rennet and you can use it in your cheese making. So there's a little test for you. Okay, Ron said, Gavin, I bought my Jarlsberg in for the second half of its ripening. It's 2 days. After 2 days, it's starting to expand nicely, but it feels like there's gas between the wax and the cheese. Is this normal? Yes, sometimes it is, because gas escapes from the cheese itself. CO2 will expand the wax, and the cheese will expand so much that it'll actually crack the wax near the end of the process. So what you can do there, what did I do? With my, I think the Leerdama that I made was very similar to Jarlsberg, similar in taste. I actually didn't wax it at all. I just left the cheese as natural, and it was quite humid at the time, so I just left it on the shelf up the back, up there. Left it sitting on the shelf, let it expand there, and there was no issues, and it turned out to be quite a nice cheese. But you can re-wax it. If you think there's something going on, then take the wax off. You can re-wax it at any time. It's no hassle. So give that a go, Ron. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Next question is, Andres says, is it really a problem to use homogenized milk to make cheese? Is it true that this can be solved with calcium chloride? Okay, so a little bit of confusion there in that question. Calcium chloride is used to fortify the milk with soluble calcium after heat treatment, which is pasteurization. Homogenization is a different process, whereas pasteurization is where they heat the milk up to kill any microorganisms in the milk, and you can do that safely. Kim put the video link in there before. Homogenization, very hard to do at home. All that does is they pass the milk after it's been pasteurized through a very, very fine mesh sieve. So it's a stainless steel mesh. Stop that. Very stainless steel mesh, and it breaks up the fat globules and stops them from floating to the top. So the cream is distributed through the milk evenly and it doesn't float on top. That's what homogenization is. And you'll notice that goat's milk is naturally homogenized because the fat globules never float to the top in goat's milk. So you don't get a cream line like you do with cow's milk. So That's what's going on there. You need calcium chloride if you've got heat-treated milk, pasteurised milk. Okay, Judy says, Gavin, my local available cow's milk is 4.1% fat. Is that an issue? No, that's perfect, Judy. Taylor on Facebook says, I have a question about Blue/Roque 40. It's like $12 every time I order a packet of culture. At the same time, I've noticed that some crumbles bought from the grocery bloom really aggressively sometimes. Is there any way I can use this to inoculate wheels of blue? Indeed, you can actually reculture the blue. So what you can do at the start of your cheese making process, so when the step to add a blue mold comes along in the cheese making process, what you can do, Taylor, is you can take some of that Penicillium Roque 40 out of the old cheese that you purchased. Okay, you can mix that, scoop it out with a little spoon, mix it with 1/4 cup of milk, just normal milk at room temperature or at the target temperature for the recipe. Let that dissolve in there. Let it sit for about half an hour to do its magic, and then pour that in when it says pour in the Penicillium Roque 40. So you'll get that strain of blue from that blue cheese that you purchase. So yes, you can use store-bought cheese to inoculate the mold part. You'll still need a starter culture if you're using pasteurised milk. Okay. Isla on Facebook says, good morning. Do I have to pasteurize my raw milk to make cheese? No, you don't. If you think your milk is clean and it doesn't have any issues, then go ahead, use your raw milk. All the great cheeses of Europe are made with raw milk, so there's no issues there. It's only usually they pasteurize them. You right, Holly? Come on, outside. Come on, let's go. Come on, out. Come on, out. Some doggy issues going on there. My goodness me. That's what happens when you have dogs in your studio and you're live. Rightio. Okay, Kim will probably get this message in a second, so I can figure out what's going on. Yeah, you can probably hear it in the background there. Okay, next question is from Rachel, and Rachel says, right, I'm back. My question is, how do you calculate the amount of milk to use relative to the size of the mold you're intending to use? And then, when you have got curds left over, as I have right now, and no suitable mold, and no spare press, what would you recommend I do with them? My goodness. Okay. How do you calculate the amount of mold? Well, usually the molds will say what size or what amount of milk is needed or how many grams it will fill. So, for instance, the 165ml mould that I sell, you can use between 10 and 12 litres of milk and have no issues there at all. But a lot of the cheeses will say, a lot of the moulds will say how many kilos of curds, or how many, no, not kilos of curds, how many kilos of curds that it'll take. So that works. Yeah, if you have spare curds, then yeah, definitely you can eat them as cheese curds, like on poutine, which is a fantastic Canadian dish, or you can deep fry them. You can crumb them if you've got curds. What you can do is just press them flat with two wooden boards, so you get a little slab of curd, and then cut them into fingers, and then coat them in breadcrumbs using a flour egg mix and breadcrumbs, and deep fry them. Oh, perfect. There you go. Hope that answered your question, Rachel. Gavin has come and he's on YouTube and says, I want to make fresh cheese but don't know what. Do you have any recommendations? Any recommendations? Yes, look, very simple. Try paneer, ricotta. There's a couple of easy ones. Halloumi's nice and easy. So give that a go. Kim, if you're back in the office again, then can you put up the 10 easy cheeses to make without a cheese cave for Gavin? Rachel says, I'm in Hermitage, Berkshire in the UK, by the way. Thank you, Rachel. Judith says, here in Melbourne, it's lovely at the moment, but summer is coming. Regular fridge technicians do not service wine fridges. Does anybody know someone that services wine fridges in Melbourne? No, I don't, but hopefully somebody in the comments may know. Okay. Another question, looking for a question. Gillaherm says that, yes, I have the recipe, but I need to translate it first from Portuguese to English. That's for Queso de Minas. So, yeah, that'll be great. I'll contact you after the show. Now, we've got 15 minutes to go. Hopefully, I'm still getting through the questions at a fast enough rate. Virag says, since I'm using goat's milk and if I pasteurize it, will I have to add calcium chloride? I heard goat's curd are a bit weaker. Should I take extra steps? Where do I get unchlorinated water? So about 3 questions in one. Yes, if you pasteurize your milk, use calcium chloride, even with goat's milk when it's raw. If you're having troubles getting a curd set, then definitely I would add calcium chloride to it. Where do I get unchlorinated water? You can buy water without chlorine in it from the shop if you want, or you can use rainwater that has no chlorine in it, which I would boil first, or you can get let me think, you can get I don't know, in where you are, there's a company called Brita, and they do filters, charcoal filters, and they have a jug, you pour water in the top, goes through the filter, and then the bottom it's got no chlorine, no fluorides, no heavy metals, no calcium, so it's essentially unchlorinated or filtered water, so that works well. Dr. Daya says, I'm from Algeria, thanks for your help. Thank you, Doctor. Junior says, dear Gavin, I'm from Brazil. Minas cheese is so easy to produce. Fantastic, so hopefully I'll get the recipe. Gilliam on Facebook says, I have a question. What is the secret to the cheese that melts perfectly? It should be low acidity. It should, when you're making the curd. So you'll find that a lot of the Dutch style cheeses, which melt really well, like Edam, Gouda, Leerdama, what's some of them? That'll do. That's some of them anyway. You'll find they all melt perfectly because during the process of cheese making, you find that you actually wash the curds with water, and that reduces the overall acidity of the cheese, makes it not mild, it's flavoursome, don't get me wrong, but it's a low acidity cheese and it melts perfectly. You'll find that with cheddar too. If you don't go overboard with the cheddaring process, you'll find that some cheddars will melt better than others. The older cheddars, the more mature cheddars, don't melt because they have a high acidity. They've been aging for longer. So you'll find those really old 2-year, 3-year cheddars don't melt very well at all because they have a higher acidity. That's the secret. Okay. Herb says, I tried waxing with clear wax. It was easy to miss spots that weren't covered. Red makes it easier. Indeed. Very good tip there, Herb. Thank you. Gilliam says, do you reuse the cheese wax? Yes, I do reuse my cheese wax. What I do after I take it off the cheese, I have a little soft brush. I use some warm soapy water, not hot, but warm soapy water, and I brush any cheese that's stuck to the inside of the wax, and then I put it back into my cheese pot. So next time I remelt, it all melts, and you can reuse it. Kevin says, can I make your halloumi with goat's milk, and is there any changes in the recipe? No changes that I can think of, Kevin, and yes, definitely goat's milk, because traditionally in Cyprus, halloumi was made with either goat's milk or sheep's milk, depends on which part of the country you came from, of the island. Sometimes it was a combination of two, goat and sheep's milk. It was only until the British took over Cyprus in the 40s and 50s after World War II did they actually start introducing cows to the island and started using cow's milk for halloumi. So you can definitely use goat and sheep's milk, no problems at all. Ruth said, I had problems with yellow wax that did not spread well for me. Oh, that's a good tip. Thank you, Ruth. Ruth says, the black wax turned clear. I stick with red wax. Well done. Okay. James says, have you ever tried Västerbottensost, which is Swedish cheese? What was your opinion of it? I haven't tried it. I cannot get that cheese here in Australia. We have pretty tight restrictions here in Australia. Not a lot of raw milk cheeses can be imported into Australia due to our due to our food safety laws that are very tight on raw milk cheeses. So unfortunately I haven't. I would have to travel to Sweden to try that cheese. So sorry about that, James. Stephen says, there's a bit of debate between myself and my fiance about the rind on the brie. Should you eat it or not? Most definitely eat the rind. That's what it's for. It adds a different sort of mushroomy flavour and texture to the cheese. Yes, eat the rind. Always with those mould ripened cheeses. Why would we mould ripen them if you don't eat the rind? Anyway, Ruth said that her cheese, the paprika one was the marble cheddar had smoky paprika, so add a little bit of extra smokiness to it. Fantastic. Herb says, holy moly, the galleries are getting fantastic. Indeed, Herb, if you got some pictures, mate, send them in. Okay, let me get down to where are we? Martin has a question. Have you ever tried cheese making the traditional way by using clabber/kefir as a starter like David Asher does? No, I haven't. And the main reason, Martin, is that it's very hard to get your hands on raw milk, and all of his recipes are exclusively for raw milk. So because I have such difficulty in getting raw milk, I haven't tried some of the black sheep school of cheese making way that David does it. I hope that answered your question. Kevin says, have fake camembert and red wine cheddar in process as well as sage derby and caprino romano all in production. Well done, Kevin. I think you'll find that the fake camembert is quite delicious, which is not the traditional method of making camembert, but it's the commercial version. They use a thermophilic culture instead of a mesophilic, and the cheese is quite firm, but as it ages it gets softer and it turns into quite a nice stabilized paste cheese. Very nice. Bruce or Brugg says, Rennet, I have two Rennets, both from New England cheese making suppliers. One is from 1993, the other one is from 2020. I've yet to tell the difference in their action, go figure. So that works. Peter says, if you brine a cheese, do you use separate brines for blues, white moulds, red moulds, or do you use one brine for all cheeses? Good question, Peter. What I do, I use the same brine for all cheeses, and what I do is I pasteurize the brine before I use it. So what I do is I put the brine out of the brine pot, put it into a saucepan. I heat it up to about 75 Celsius, which I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but at 75 Celsius, you can work that out for yourself. And basically that kills any moulds that are in there, any whites, blues or reds, and then I let it cool down again. I do the little egg floaty test to make sure the egg floats properly. If not, put a little bit more salt in it, and then I put it back into the brine pot, and Bob's your uncle, you're ready to go for the next cheese. So there you go. You can reuse your salty brine over and over. Look, salt is cheap as chips, so You can just do some more if you want to. You just make some more brine every time you make a cheese if you're worried, if you don't want to do the pasteurization. But I think it brings out the full flavour in cheese. There must be something in the brine, but yeah, it's quite good. Okay, Peter says, how do you make your cheese not smell? Well, cheese does smell. It's just part of the maturation process. Yeah, it smells, especially the ones made with brevibacterial linens. My goodness, do they smell. They have that very high ammonia smell to them. But anyway, yeah. Holly, leave that alone. Get into bed. Holly's back in. Kim's rescued her. Teppo says, have you ever considered aging cheese in one of those membranes designed for home drying beef? No, I haven't, actually. And we have another super chat. So this one is from Ruth. Thank you, Ruth, for your kind $20 super chat. Ruth says, thanks, Gavin and Kim. So excited about all the new platforms. Have a great week, everybody. And yeah, it is coming to the end of the show. So thank you again, Ruth, for your kind super chat. I appreciate it, as always, for your support. And another one from Chris B. And we have another super chat. Let's the lights going off everywhere. It's all happening now, ladies and gentlemen. Chris has asked, hi, Gavin. I have made a cheese where at the end of the stir, the curds do not sink and formed a spongy mass. I suspect coliform. I did press it, but do you think it will be safe to eat? Chris, unfortunately not. I do not think it would be safe to eat because curds are not supposed to float, they're supposed to sink. And that would indicate that there is some sort of gas formation during the curds. So can you just confirm that you did use raw milk? If you used raw milk, then that would be the issue. If you didn't, there's something else going on that's not so good. Maybe the milk probably wasn't so well. Good. So good. We got another super chat from Megan McIntyre. Thank you, Megan. Megan says, I've fallen in love with Millwood Cheese Company's King River Gold. It's a washed rind cheese. Can you suggest a recipe for something similar? Indeed, I can, Megan. Try my Tilsit recipe. And if Kim, you're still there, please, love, can you put up the link to the Tilsit? You will find, Megan, very similar in flavour to the King River Gold washed rind smelly cheese. I make it in quite a large size, the Tilsit, but you can make it in small. Just use camembert moulds, the 10 centimetre camembert moulds, and you'll get the similar size to that very wonderfully produced Australian cheese. So thanks, everybody. It looks like Kim's given me the wind up, so it is time to go. Thanks for watching, whatever platform you were on. I really appreciate your time. Don't forget there will be another Ask the Cheeseman next week, same time, same channels. We'll do the same thing and stream them to YouTube, Facebook, and to Periscope, even though there was only one person on Periscope, but that's okay. Congratulations to everybody. And if you've got any gallery pictures, don't forget to send them in. If you want any merch, then you can, there's a merch shelf on the YouTube page down below, or Kim's put the link there. If you want to support us financially, you can do so as a YouTube member or over at Patreon, and Kim's put the link there as well. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. And to all the curd nerds out there, thank you so much, and happy cheese making over the weekend or whenever you get the time to do it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.